विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। We are discussing the introduction that Bhashyakara has given of the section beginning with the Dhara Upasana. As we saw, the 8th chapter begins with the Upasana or meditation upon Brahman. Dhara means that which is very small, very minute, very subtle. And so, Upasana, as Bhashyakara said, that even though for Uttamadhikaris, Brahman is taught directly in the 6th and the 7th chapter as Ekameva Dvitiyam Digdesh Kaladi Bheda Shunyam, devoid of any Bheda or any duality or any divisions such as direction, location, time, etc. And still, for those who are not prepared to grasp Brahman, that is devoid of all the attributes, because they have been accustomed to only meditating on Brahman with attributes, and that's all they know. Therefore, to prepare them for the knowledge of Brahman without all the attributes, this meditation of Brahman with attributes is being taught here. This Upasana becomes a preparation for the knowledge. Upasana or meditation also is upon the same truth, same God, same Brahman, which is later on to be known. So first Upasana, meditation, and then knowledge. That's his sequence. So again, Brahman is Nirgunam, and still, so Brahman is, even though without the location, without the direction, and still it is taught as though it is located in the lotus of the heart, in the fine space in the lotus of the heart. So location is superimposed upon Brahman. Again, Brahman is devoid of all the gunas or qualities or attributes, and still again the attributes or gunas are superimposed, such as Satyakamaha, Satyasankalpaha, for the purpose of meditation. So to facilitate the knowledge of Brahman, which in the Paramarthic or absolute mass sense is devoid of all attributes, all qualities, all locations, any idea at all, any concept, and still for preparation for that knowledge, these are superimposed. So that's what the Tikakara said in the second page. Nirvishesham param brahma sakshat kartum anishvaraha. Anishvaraha, those who are not Ishvara, those who are not capable of sakshat kartum, of realizing or directly knowing nirvishesham param brahma. So Brahman, param brahma, the absolute Brahman, which is nirvishesham, devoid of all the vishesha or attributes. So those are not able to directly grasp this. Ye mandaha, meaning those whose minds are not developed enough or mature enough to grasp Brahman as a self. Anukampyante savishesha nirupanehi. To know nirvishesham Brahman, Brahman without wishes attributes, to know it as the self. But here, Brahman is presented as the object of worship. Savishesha nirupanehi anukampyante. So Brahman is worshipped first to help these people tune up with Brahman, with attributes, so that later on attributes can be negated to see it as the very self. Vashikrute manasyesham saguna brahma shilanat. Shilanat. So for a long time, by meditating upon, worshipping, getting acquainted with this Saguna Brahma, Esha Manasi Vashikrate, when the mind is then under control. When the mind has become subtle, mind has become single pointed. Tadeva avirbhavet sakshat apedo pahadikalpanam. No doubt, in its true nature, Brahman is devoid of all the upadhi, all the conditionings. But the conditionings are superimposed upon Brahman to help this person visualize it, relate to it, associate with it, identify with it. And with that identification with devotion or bhakti, tadev avirbhavet sakshat, that Brahman itself appears before them, manifests before them as a self. So that's the krama followed here. And again, the knowers of Brahman, they do not require any injunctions or instructions with reference to what values to follow, because they spontaneously follow the values. So brahmacharya, etc., all this vrata or all these the resolves are not required. So they don't have to follow certain injunctions or the vows, because they are naturally brahmachari. But still, those who are not ready for them, brahmacharya, satya, all of these tapasarya, all of these vratas or these rules also are prescribed here. So yadyapi ek atmaikatvedam gantrugamana gantavya bhavat. There is no gati. Yaheva samavaniyante. So if this is what is Brahman, and I am Brahman, therefore there is no question of going and coming, because there is no place where Brahman is not. There is no place I am not in reality. So for those who know Brahman in its true nature, there is no question of a goer. a traveler and the traveling and the destination, and still those who are yet only oriented towards taking themselves as limited beings, those who would achieve a certain goal, those they look upon themselves as those who have to reach a certain destination, a certain dhamma realm, for them also, so murdinya nadya gati vaktavya. So for them also the gati, the passage through the cerebral, the opening is also being stated here. So this is the purpose of the first 6 sections of the 8th chapter, which prescribe the upasana or meditation upon Brahman. So then the question was, तरी तेषां भ्रमपोहार्थं परमार्थ अद्वयं ब्रह्म ग्राहयितव्यम्. So why not these people are taught directly the Nirgunam Brahman? They have Brahma. These are all Brahma, or the delusions that they are entertaining about themselves and about Brahman also. That I am a jiva, I am a traveler who has to reach a destination. That Brahman has a location, some place, and I reach that location. That Brahman is possessed of attributes such as Satyakama, Satya Sankalpa, omniscience, omnipotent. So to remove this Brahma or the delusion that these people entertain, why don't you directly tell them that Brahman is devoid of all, these are all Brahma? Kim anyatha upadishyate? Why are you initiating them into the upasana or meditation on Brahman before teaching them directly what Brahman is? So the page 346 Bhashyakara said, Sanmargastha tavat bhavantu. So, iti manyate Shruti. Shruti seems to think like this. Shruti doesn't say so, but from what it says, this is a tatparya. So from the trend or from the method that Shruti seems to have implied here, we think that this is what Shruti has in mind, Manyate Shruti. That is tatparya. So what is the tatparya? What is it that the Shruti intends to communicate? With what intention does the Shruti say that? Sanmargastha tavat bhavantu. Let them first come to the right path. Tatah shanaihi paramada sadapi grahishyamedi. Then slowly as they are getting ready, I will also make them grasp or see or realize also the Paramada Sat, Brahman, which is Sat or existence, absolute non-dual. I will make them see that. Now we are on page 346. We have to look at this Tika, Abhinav Narayana Nandendra Saraswati. In the line number 20, Grahishyamiti. I will later on make them see the true nature of Brahman. Where? In the 7th. So after the first 6 sections are over, on the page 381, where the 7th section begins, Ya Atma Apahata Papma Vijaraha Vimrityu Vishokaha. So beginning from there, Upanishad will teach the Brahman that is devoid of where all the attributes are negated. Now the thing is, the description is the same. See, Atma that is taught here in meditation is the same. If you look at page 351, Sabruyaan nasya jaraya etajjiyati navadhe nasya hanyate, etc. We'll see that. Etat satyam brahmapuram अस्मिन् कामाः समाय एष आत्मा अपहत पाप्मा विजरः विमृत्युः विशोक. The same description is there. So Atma or Brahman is described the same attributes. In Upasana section also, Ya Atma apahata papma vijaraha vimrityuhu. In the Brahma Vidya section also, same passage comes, Ya Atma apahata papma. So grahishyami. So Shruti says that when they will come to the 7th chapter, meaning that when they will complete the upasana, gain the maturity, then what they meditated upon, which attributes, same I will teach them, devoid of all the attributes. When they will be ready to let go of these attributes. The idea is the maturity of preparation is in terms of let go. So far, his need is that Brahman should be possessed of attributes, then only he can relate to Brahman, then only he can worship Brahman. Then a time comes when he is now ready to cross that. Like the old pole, where you lift yourself up to this height and then let go of the pole. So also attributes act like that. The meditation upon the attributes has enabled this person to rise to a point where he can let go of those attributes. So this is the method that Shruti employs here. But the thing is, since the description is the same, then the questions arise sometimes whether is the same Atma being taught, same Saguna Brahma being taught, or what it is. Whether subsequent section talks about Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahma, because same is described there, So that is what this Tikagara takes up for discussion. So going back to, again, page 346. Grahishyameti ya atma apahata papma ityadina grahishyami. Shruti thinks that once they have gained the right maturity with upasana, then I'll make them see the true nature of Brahman through this description or passage, ya atma apahata papma. Etena hridaya deshasya satya kamatvadehe gunajatasya Gatescha iha uktehe. So here, with reference to Atma apahata papma, during the first 6 sections, Hridaya deshasya, that Brahman possessed of the attributes of apahata papma, vijaraha, vimrutyuhu, is described as located in the Hridaya desha or in the lotus of the heart. So it is said to be located. Satya Kamatvade Gunajatasya, it is said to be possessed of the attributes of Satya Kama, unfailing desires, Satya Sankalpa, unfailing resolves, Gatescha, and the Gati departure from the Murdanya Nadi or the cerebral passage. Yukte. So here all of this is stated. The same Atma, Abhata Papma, here, all this is being stated. And later on the same is described without those things. So understand this, the style that the Shruti is employed here. Kamadi itaratra tatracha ayatanadibhya iti sutrena. So that sutra, I will look at later, but here, let's read that sutra for you. Kamadi itaratra tatracha ayatanadibhya. So that's a sutra. 3.3.39, which we already looked at, but then see, Kamadi itaratra tatracha ayatanadibhya, that's a sutra. Kamadi, Satya Kamatwadi Gunagrama. Kama means what? So you connect this. Where word Kama occurs in the Upanishad? Satya Kama. Kamadi. With Kama, others also Satya Sankalpa. So Satya Kamadi Gunagrama. Whole group of the guna or the virtues, namely unfailing desires, unfailing resolves. Itaratra. So that's the Chandogya Upanishad. Itaratra. Bruhadaranyake. We saw earlier that this Dhar Upasana or meditation upon this space in the heart occurs in many places. So we saw all the discussion how we must combine the attributes. Somewhere some attributes are stated, somewhere some other attributes are stated, then we should combine all of them. Sarvashitvadikam, so that's what they say, Sarvashi, etc. Brihadaranyaka. Tatra upasamhartavyam in so when you do this meditation, as prescribed in Chandogya, you should also combine the attributes not stated yet but stated elsewhere in the same context in the other Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka. Ayatanadi, why do you say that? It's the same Upasana. Ayatanadibhya, Ayatanam is the same, the location is the same. What is it? Hridaya. In Brihadaranyaka Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka, the place of meditation is the heart. And so the attributes also are there. Yes, setuhu, vidharana, vidharana. So one that is setu, or the one sustains everything. And one that actually is responsible for the divisions so that there is no intermingling of the various dharmas. So certain descriptions are similar. Idea is that certain descriptions are similar. From that we conclude that the Upasana is the same. Same meditation is prescribed in both the Upanishads. Therefore, whatever is stated in one Upanishad also should be included in the Upasana. That was the sutra there. Sutrena Brihadaranyakasya Nirguna Vidyayam. So then one opinion was that Brihadaranyaka talks about Nirguna Vidya and Chandogya talks about Saguna Vidya. Later on also, Satyakama, Satyasankalpa, etc. is Saguna Brahma. Sutrena Brihadaranyakasya Nirguna Vidyayam Satyakamatwadi Gunopasamhara Uktesya Saguna Brahma Nirgunate Vyamanyante. So now, Brihadaranyaka is Nirguna Vidya. So whatever attributes are stated there, when you include them here, so Guna Upasamhara Uktesya Sagunameva Brahma Nirgunamiti. That not only for meditation, but ultimately Brahman is only Sagunam and not Nirgunam because the attributes are included. Iti Tesham Paksha Nirastaha. The idea is that Chandogya also, Ya Atma Abhata Papma from the seventh section is teaching Nirguna Brahma and not Saguna Brahma. It is not that in Brihadaranyaka Nirguna Brahma is taught and Chandogya Saguna Brahma is taught. That's not so. In fact, that is what see, same page in the footnote last, Siddhantastu Chandogya Saguna Vidya Brihadaranyakatra Nirguna Vidya Bhedevi. Siddhanta. So Chandogya is Saguna Vidya and Nirguna Vidya. In Bhedevi Stutyartham Gunopasamhara Ishyate. No, but this Tikakara says no. Chandogya also is Nirguna Brahma, Brihadaranyaka Nirguna Brahma. Now, Tikakara gives the reason why here also from the 7th chapter what the Shruti will Grahishyami. So I'll make them see the true nature of Brahman. So what is the true nature of Brahman? Is Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahma? So that is why this Tikakara takes up the discussion. Shashta Saptamayoho Sad Ekameva Dvityam Yatra Nanyat Pashityadina Nirvishesham Upakramya. So it is very clear that in the 6th chapter of this Chandogya Upanishad, Sadeva Swamya Ekameva Dvityam, one without a second, devoid of the Swagata, Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Bheda. Yatra Nanyat Pashyati, Nanyat Shranoti, there also the duality between the seer and the seen, here and here, that also has been negated. So Nirvishesham is very clear that the 6th chapter, the Upanishad is teaching the Nirvishesham Brahma, Upakramya. Bahuda Samarthanat. In 7th also, the Samarthanam, same thing was, firmed up in the 7th chapter. Uttaratravi. So then in the 6th chapter and 7th chapter, when Chandogya Upanishad start Nirguna Brahman, why should 8th chapter same Upanishad teach Saguna Brahman? Doesn't make sense. For somebody to conclude that in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Shruti teaches Nirguna Brahma, in 8th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad teaches Saguna Brahma, does not make sense because the 6th and 7th chapter, the Upanishad taught Nirguna Brahma. Then 8th chapter, why should it teach Saguna Brahma? Ya Atma Ityadina Satya Kamattvadi Guna Vishishta Anuvadena. The problem is because the Anuvada. Ya Atma Apahatapapma Vijaraha Vimrutyu. Since all the attributes also are repeated, therefore whether the Upanishad means to teach you Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahma. Says no, the 6th and 7th chapter, the topic has been Nirguna Brahman. Therefore, Ya Atma Ityadina Sattva Kamatvadi Guna Vishishta Anuvadena. The Anuvada of Saguna Brahman. Guna Vishishta means Saguna Brahman. So what was taught in the first 6 sections of this is only reiterated for what? Tat apohena. Later on what is meant is, so now this upasaka, this person has been meditating upon Brahman with possessed of all the attributes. So same thing is repeated there to then help him let go of those attributes. During meditation, he has been meditating upon Brahman with attributes. So now for teaching him the Brahman without attributes, same thing is reiterated to help him let go of the attributes. So tat apohena kevalasya jnetvoktescha. So from the 7th section, when the Brahma Vidya is taught, the reason why these attributes are repeated is to let them, for helping the student, let them go, because he has been so far meditating upon Brahman with those attributes, so let go. Nacha vishishtasyeva tatra jnetam uchyate iti vachyam. So Vishishta means qualified. Tatra jnetam uchyate, it is qualified Brahman that is being taught as Gneyam or something to be known. Yasmin Dyauhu Prithvicha Antariksham Otam Manasa Pranasya Sarvaih Tamevekam Janatheti. See Mundaka Upanishad. Yasmin, that in which Dyauhu Prithvicha Antariksham, the heaven, the earth, the intermediate world, Otam is pervaded, sustained, Manasa Pranasya Sarvai, along with the mind, along with the pranas, and all the 3 worlds are located in which, sustained by which? Tamav ekam janatha. Know that one. So now, know that one means what? That in which the three worlds, namely earth, intermediate world and heaven, all of these are located, that which sustains all these worlds, which pervades all these worlds, along with the mind and prana. Know that tameva ekam janatha, know that one non-dual. So which is that one? Is it a one with along with the three worlds, that is what is taught, or the one that sustains the three worlds? Which one is to be known as one? Iti atraiva. So there what is being taught is not meditating on knowing Brahman as the sustainer of the three worlds, Brahman that in fact transcends those three worlds. Meaning you have to know that the description is one possessed of the attributes, so one that possesses the attributes. So one that is devoid of attributes, upon which attributes superimpose, so that no Brahman without the attributes, that is what is meant there. It's called Vishishta or Visheshya. Which one is qualified? Vishesha or Visheshanam is qualification. Visheshya, so that which is indicated by the qualifications, upon which qualification is superimposed. Atraiva, similarly here also, ya atma apadapatma sanveshtavya. Atma, that is devoid of all the sins, etc., is to be known. So which Atma is to be known? Atma which is thought to be, so upon which the attributes of sinlessness, etc., superimpose, that Visheshya or that Atma, which is the basis of qualification, that is unqualified, has to be known. Yes, Chitraguhu tam ana ityadaiva. So in Sanskrit they say, yes Chitraguhu tam anaya. Who is Chitraguhu? Chitra gavaha yasya sa Chitraguhu. It's an interesting compound, It's a Bahuvrihi compound. Chitra means colorful. So go means the cow. So this Devadatta is called Chitraguhu because he possesses the cows with colors, different colors. Cow is maybe red cow may be there, black cow may be there, white cow may be there. Or same cow may have all these different colors sometimes. One patch is red and one patch is white, etc. whatever. So Chitraguhu is what? Devadatta, who is possessed of the variegated cows. So yes, Chitraguhu tam anaya. You know that Chitraguhu? Bring him. So when you bring him, see his name is what? One possessed of the colored cows. But when you bring that Devadatta, you don't bring cows. You follow? Who is Devadatta? Chitraguhu, possessed of Chitra Gavaha. When the Devadatta is to be brought, it is not the Gava, the cows are not to be brought, Devadatta alone is brought. Similarly, know that Atma, who is Apahadapatma, Vijaraha, Vimrutyuhu, it is not the Papma, etc., but it is Atma possessed those attributes, is to be, which is himself devoid of attributes. Visheshyasya anveshtavyatva pratite. Therefore, Atma anveshtavyah, which is to be investigated, that which is the locus of all the attributes, such as Apahadapatma, Vijaraha, Vimrutyuhu. Anyatha tasmin yadantah tadanveshtavyam esha atma avahadapatma atmanam anuvidya vrajanti etam sastika ityadineva atmana gunanam cha anveshtavyatva. So by all this description, Atma, Apahadapatma, etc., which is stated here, Anuvidya, so those who know the Atma along with all the Satyakamas, meaning the unfailing desires, etc. Atmana gunanam cha anveshtavyatva ukte. Atmana guna vishistatva uktescha. So then you have to inquire and to know all the Atma along with the gunas and the Atma also with gunas. If that is the upasana. So same words appear. Anveshtavya, vijignyasatavya. He is to be known, he is to be specifically inquired into. Same expressions appear in both upasana as well as knowledge. Except the upasana, the one who is to be known is with attributes. In the Brahma Vidya section, one is to be known is the locus of those attributes. So that's the difference. Otherwise, what's the point in repeating the same thing? So iha pratipadana pradana. So iti atmana guna vishishtvatokte shaidam punaruktam vyartham syat. The same atma is to be known. There was no point in repeating the same words. And so Isha Atma Apahadapapma ita guna vaishishtyasya pratipadana adarsanat. So that in the second in Brahma Vidya section there is no intention of teaching Atma as possessed those attributes. How do you say that? Magavan martyam vayadam shariram ityadina sharir ninda purvakam. Hey Magavan, martyam vayadam shariram. Hey Indra, this body is mortal, but it is the locus of manifestation of immortal. So idea is that mortal is to be given up to know the immortal. So sharir ninda purvakam, the body is condemned here as mortal. Ashariram va vasantam, one knows the bodiless. Ityadana sarupalakshita sarvishesha nisheda uktesha. By that, the idea is to give up the body and all the attributes also which are in the body, gross and subtle bodies. So now, says Tika on page 347, Tasmad upasanartham uktam sagunam anudya. So this is now the Siddhanta. There were upasanartham uktam sagunam anudya. Saguna Brahma, which has been stated here for the purpose of meditation. Tatapohena, by negating all those attributes. Tatra kaivalyasya vijñetam uchyate. In the Brahma Vidya section, Kaivalya, or the non-dual, or the non-unqualified, is to be known. That is the idea. Iti eva shrishtam. So that alone makes sense. That is alone clear. Otherwise, see, in some ways it is confusing. But then, there would be no point in this same description being repeated unless something else is to be done. So first the description is for the purpose of meditation with attributes. Subsequently, the same description is for purpose of knowledge by letting go of those attributes. So purpose of meditation is for a person to gain that maturity of mind where one is now ready to let go of those attributes. He needed those attributes in order for him to meditate and relate to Ishvara, Brahman. So you can relate to Brahman only when Brahman is omniscient, omnipotent and Kripalu and that which showers Kripa or grace upon you. So by receiving that grace, now you come to a point where now you become free from that need. Then you can even go beyond that. No doubt, Surdam Sarabhutanam, Brahman is definitely the well-wisher of all, but it's something beyond also. Because well-wisher, any attribute that is stated will create some conflicts. How do you say well-wisher of all? If Brahman is well-wisher of all, then how about all Daityas and Rakshasas? He is well-wisher of them also? In that case, he can't be well-wisher of Devatas. So the Bhagavata itself said that yes, he is well-wisher of the Bhaktas, same time destroyer of the Daityas. So no attribute of Ishvara also will apply in every situation as far as we are concerned. Only when you look upon even Lord Krishna also as beyond all the attributes, then alone all attributes can apply. If he is confined to those attributes as only good and only showering grace, then we do not see him showering grace upon everybody. We see him as punishing those fellows. Then you can say, of course, that's the way of showering grace upon them. That's one thing. But it doesn't look like he showers grace upon everybody in the same way. His bhaktas are all preferred. There is a partiality as compared to all the daityas. Therefore, his grace must be such that which cannot be only determined by his action in one place. His grace must be such that which transcends both his actions of favoring and punishing. So ultimately he has to be beyond all this, any particular description. So, but then you have to grow to that point. Oh, but Bhagavan is not even, you mean he's not even graceful, he's not even kripalo? He says, no, he's just beyond that. Meaning you give up your notion of what is kripa. He's kripalo, all right. But kripa means doing what you want him to do. No, you have to get out of, you have to grow out of that. You have to see his kripa even when he doesn't do what you want him to do. So then slowly mind becomes subtle enough, or sure enough, or bold enough, or fearless enough to even give up the idea of kripa or grace only in a certain way, that Bhagavan is with me only when he does what I want him to do. No, Bhagavan is with me regardless. To see that kripa when he doesn't do what I want, it requires more subtlety, which is what the Upanishad wants us to grow to. Therefore, tasmat upasanartham uktam sagunam anudya. Anudya means anuvada, meaning reiterating same words. So anveštavya, vijignyasitavya, same thing is stated. Just anuvada, tat apohena, by giving up all those attributes. Kaivalyasyeva vignetum uchyate. In the Brahma Vidya section, Kaivalya or absolute or non-dual or that which is beyond all the attributes is Vignetvam. That is the one that is to be known, is stated in the 8th chapter, the subsequent sections. In the Eva system, that alone would be proper, that alone would make sense. Still he continues, Sutrakarenapi उत्तराच्चेद आविर्भूत स्वरूपस्तु विज्ञानेन प्रजापति वाक्ये आविर्भूत स्वरूपस्य ब्रह्मभूतस्य प्रतिपाद्यत्व मुक्तम. We'll see that, but anyway, what is सूत्र में बता रहा है आवाज. So that is the 1319, the sutra. Uttarachet avirbhuta swarupastu. That's the sutra. Uttarat, later on. So then later on means when Prajapati teaches about Brahman to Indra and Virochana, he says, Ya esha akshini purusho drishyate in eyes. So Purusha, or the conscious being, that is seen in the eyes. So the question is, what is the nature of Atma? Who is Atma? The answer is given, the one who is seen in the conscious being that is seen in the right eye, which is not the waker. Not only waker, but the one that manifests as the waker. The same is taught as dreamer, then deep sleeper, and then beyond that. So in the 8th chapter, the style is, first Atma is taught as waker, then taught as dreamer, then taught as deep sleeper, which is what they take literally, and then realize that that cannot be. And then he started that, with substratum all this. That's when the final knowledge takes place. Ityadi Uttara Prajapati Vakya. So Prajapati says this to Indra and Virochana. Uttara. So Jive Apahata Papatvadi Dharmokte jiva eva dharakasha iti chet. But the one that is seen in the right eye is Jivatma. That means that who is Dharakasha? So later on, now point is whether now is Upanishad teaching us about Jivatma or Brahma? Even in the Upanishad section also, is the teacher teaching us about the Jiva or Brahma? Apahatapa, Atma, Apahatapapma. All those words seem to talk about the Jivatma. Oh, the Jivatma, Atma that is taught is obtaining the right eye. Is it the Jivatma or Paramatma? So Sutrakara says, Avirbhuta Swarupastu. It is not the Jivatma, it is Avirbhuta Swarupaha. Avirbhuta Paramata Swarupaha. It is a Jiva of which the true nature has become manifest. So Jiva, so even though Jiva is taught, but which Jiva? Jiva whose true nature has become evident, meaning Brahman. So Avirbhuta Paramata Swarupa Jiva eva tattva vivakshita natu jivatva vishishta. The person right eye is not the limited being, it is the content of the limited, the Vaker. The Vaker is not taught there, but the content of the Vaker. Vishwa, the Vaker, is the Jiva. So words say that who is Atma? The one that is manifest in the right eye. Not the Vaker. That's the Jivatma. But no, it's not the Vaker that is taught there. When the Vaker realizes true nature, the enlightened Vaker is being taught, or the Vaker whose true nature has been manifest, meaning that Paramatma is being taught there. Ataha, the Dhara is not Jivatma, Dhara is Brahman or Paramatma. So this is what we will see on that, the whole section on Dhara. Going back to Tika iti anayana Prajapati Vakye Avirbhuta Swarupasya Brahma Bhutasya Paripadyatma Muktam. So Sutrakara also has concluded or said this, that what is taught in the Brahma Vidya section of the Chandogya 8th chapter is not Jivatma, but the true nature of Jivatma, which is Paramatma or Param Brahma. Then again somebody may argue, Nacha, Avirbhuta Swarupo Jiva Yatra Uchyate. Alright. So Sutrakara says that Jiva with Avirbhuta Swarupa, whose then the nature has been revealed, whose own nature has been revealed. It says, even Sutrakara says there is Jiva, so Jiva is taught there, not Brahma. So Avirbhuta Swarupo Jiva Yatra Uchyate. Atayeva Dharavakye Apada Papmatvad Visishtam Brahma Uchyate. So somebody says that in Dharavakya, in the Upasana, it is Brahma that is being taught. In the Brahma Vidya, it is Jivatma that is being taught. Two entities are separate. Ihetu Tathavedo Jiva Uchidi Apaundarutyam. It's not the same entity is meditated upon and same entity is known. The one that is meditated upon is Brahma and one that is taught and to be known is Jiva. That's somebody's argument. It is na Vachyam. See, Vachyam goes all the way with Nacha. The thing is that 3 sentences came in between. Therefore it is one sentence. Avirbhuta Swarupa Jiva Uchyate Atayeva Dhara etc. Up to Apaundarutyam is one Vakya. It is na Vachyam. Why? Brahma Bhinnasya Jivasya Abhinane. You say that, so Jiva is different from Brahman. If that's what is meant, first Brahman is taught, then Jiva is taught. If that is the thing, then Tasyeva Dharakasha Shabda Sattva Apatya. Then that Jiva alone will mean Dhara, not Brahman. Brahmane Upasyatvam Na Jivasyedi Prakruta Adhikarana Artha Asiddhya Apattehe. Then Upasana, the Jiva will become the object of meditation, not Brahman. But the whole Dahara Adhikaran say that Brahman alone is Upasya Vishaya and not Jiva. So then that conclusion will be contradicted if this is your interpretation. Abhinnatve tvanmate paunaruktata paunaruktadavasthyat. So then when Abhinna is there, then Punarukti is there. That's all right. Punarukti is for letting go of those attributes. Nirguna Vidyayam Gunopasamhara Stutyartha. Then if they want to teach Nirguna Brahman, why do they repeat the Atma, Avahadapap, all the gunas, why repeat it? Stutyartha, for stuti of Brahman. Either Brahmanani eva Panchahavigum Shiri Atra eva Arthavada Atidesha. That Vakya I do not know. So Brahmanani eva Panchahavigum Shiri. So those Brahmanas, in those sections alone, the 5 Havimshi or 5, those Brahmanas alone are the 5 oblations. So, Itiva Atreva, Arthavada Atadesha. So it's Arthavada. Tasmad Upasanatam Savisheshatvam na Paramata. Therefore, all the attributes that are described here and later on are only for meditation and not for the knowledge. Meaning, ultimate knowledge of Brahman is not Brahman with these attributes, it is Brahman that transcends those attributes. So Tikakara, all of this is stated Grahishyami. What is going to be taught later? So Sanmargastha Tavad Bhavantu, let them come to the right path. Tata Shanaihi. So Bhashaka Shanaihi. Therefore, same attributes are reiterated. So this person can relate, and then Shruti teaches him how to let go of those things. So Shanaihi Paramarthadapi Grahishyami. And then I will make him see the Paramarthasat also, the absolute existence also. So now we have seen the whole introduction of both the Tikakaras. Now we are going to go to the mantra or the Kandika on the page 344. Om Atha Yadidam Asmin Brahmapure Daharam Pundarikam Veshma Daharaha Asmin Antarakashaha Tasmin Yadantaha Tadanveshtavyam Tadvava Vijignasitavyamiti. Thereafter, having stated the Nirguna Brahman 6-7 chapters, thereafter now the Upasana is being taught. So Atha begins Om, of course, because a new chapter begins, and that begins with Mangalacharanam Om. Atha Idam Asmin Brahmapure Daharam Pundarikam Veshma. Asmin Brahmapure. Puri means the city. In this city of Brahman, Daharam Pundarikam Veshma. Veshma means a dwelling. A house or a dwelling is called Veshma. Veshman Shabda is there. Pundarikam Veshma. So in this city of Brahman, there is this dwelling of the nature of the lotus, the haram which is small. So body is big. In that, this heart, which is called a lotus, like an inverted lotus bud. So that's a small thing compared to the whole body. So Daharam Pundarikam Veshma. So Brahmapuri Bhashya will explain is this body. This body is called Brahmapuri because it is the dwelling place of Brahman. Where does Brahman dwell? In the palace of the heart. So just as a king dwells in a palace in a city, so in the city that is body, Brahman dwells in the palace which is the lotus of the heart. Dahara Asmin Antarakasha. Again, in that dwelling place which is the heart, Asmin Dahara Antaraka Antaha Akasha. There is also space which is even subtler. So the heart itself, the dwelling itself is subtle. The space which is there within that is also called dahara. Subtle means subtler. Tasmin yadantaha. In that space, so imagine this body. In that there is the palace or the dwelling place of Brahman, which is the lotus of the heart. In that there is this space, subtle space. In that space Brahman manifests. So, tasmin yat antaha, what is in that space? Tat anveshtavyam, that has to be known. Tadvava vijignyasitam yamiti, it is to be inquired into for realization. So, anveshtavyam and vijignyasitavyam. Anveshtavyam is also really to be investigated, but here interpreted anveshtavyam, it is to be known. Vijignyasitavyam has to be inquired into until it becomes your knowledge or realization. So inquiry means you should meditate upon this until you realize that. So this is the passage which now on the page 347 Bhashyakara explains. Going to Anandagiri line 10, Adhyaya Tatparyam Sankshepa Vistarabhyam Darshayitva. Sankshepa Vistarabhyam. In Sankshepa and Vistara, Bhashyakara has showed the Tatparya, the purport of the Adhyaya, of these first 6 sections. Shrutyakshirani Vyakaroti. Bhashyakara now explains the words of the Shruti. Same thing, going to the Tika, line 25. Ittam adhyayam avatarya tadaksharani vyachaste. Thus, having introduced adhyaya, very loud. What? Humming, awaaz moto se kar. Aksharani vyachaste. So the words are now, I'm supposed to speak slowly, that's the idea. So, vyachaste. Bhashyakara explains, asa ityadena. अथ अनन्तरं यदिदं वक्ष्यमाणं दहरम् अल्पं पुण्डरीकं पुण्डरीकसदृशं वेश्म इव वेश्म द्वारपालादिसत्त्वात् अथ अनन्तरं. Thereafter, what is अनन्तरं? Says Anandagiri, Uttama buddhin pravi nirvishesha brahmopadeshanantaram manda buddhin pravi savishesham upadishyate brahma ityartha. Atha, thereafter. Thereafter means what? For having taught the nirvishesham brahma, for those with developed or mature mind, now the Brahman with attributes being taught for those who needs to develop that mind. Same thing, line 25. Anantaramiti nirvishesha brahma pratipadananantaram tatra anadikritanam mandanam adhikara siddhi upyogitaya savisheshopasanam uchyate shesha. Nirvishesha brahma pratipadananantaram. Having taught the nirvishesha brahma in the 6th and the 7th chapters, Tatra anadikritanam, so those who are not quite prepared for grasping Brahman, that is, devoid of all the attributes, mandanam, so those who need to develop their mind, adhikara siddhi upyogitaya. So purpose of teaching meditation is prepare the students ultimately to know Brahman in its true nature. So that is what is the heart of the Shruti. Shruti ultimately wants us to know Brahman, that is Atma. So whenever we know Brahman with attributes is always different from the self. then Brahman with attributes is always object of worship. Then there is a duality of the worshipper and worshipped. So some acharyas take that to be ultimate reality. All the other acharyas, Vaishnava acharyas, whether it is Vishishta Dvaita or Dvaita, all of them look upon Brahman as separate from Jiva, in one way or the other. And then Brahman becomes a object of meditation, object of worship. So then worship becomes the primary means of realizing Brahman. Whereas Bhagavan Bhashyakara says that is not the really ultimate intention of Shruti. Even though Shruti does teach about Brahman's attributes, the idea is to help students realize Brahman as very self. The only thing that is without attributes is self. Because one that objectifies all the attributes, one that eliminates all the attributes, has to be devoid of all the attributes. Only self alone is without all attributes. And Brahman without attributes means Brahman is to be known as a self, meaning that duality also cannot remain. So the Shruti wants us to rise to that level. That's the point. Not that Brahman is not without attributes. It's not wrong. But that's not ultimate reality. It is reality. But that is not the ultimate reality. So this Upanishad is only in fact aiming very, very high. So nowhere in the world is this teaching that. All other sampradayas, other religions, all of them only teach Brahman with attributes. Whatever they claim, whether Brahman is transcendent, but it's always with attributes. Whether he is a father in the heaven, this, that, what not, or Allah, etc., with all 99 different names are there. But Rahim, he is always one who, showers his grace, etc., and blesses you and so forth. But all of these create problems, ultimately. Any great attribute taught about Brahman also, Ishvara or Allah or anybody will create problem because it can't explain everything. Everything can be explained only when Brahman transcends everything. And then Brahman alone, the transcendental Brahman is real, then this everything is only mithya. Then alone it can be explained. That all these contradictions can only exist in mithya, they cannot exist in satyam. Satyam, the truth, cannot be simultaneously possessed of a punisher as well as a favorer, cannot be. And so, where both punishment and favor, both of them are mithya, then alone Brahman, who transcends that, will be real. And that alone can explain everything. So only mithyatvam can explain. No other thing can explain. Which nobody understands. They keep on breaking the head about Hinduism also and says this and that, and they cannot understand that basically what Upanishads teach is mithyatvam, the whole vyavahara. It means that vyavahara is anirvachaniya. You cannot say it is this only on that. We don't say that. And so, mithyatvam. So then God cannot be explained. Now that is also not right. Saguna Brahma cannot be described, of course. Sa kasya stotavya. Kati vidaguna kasya vishaya. But Nirguna Brahma definitely can be described, meaning can definitely be realized as it is. Nobody can realize Saguna Brahma in its entirety. Because it is realized through the mind, and of course, they talk about mind becoming like Hiranyagarbha and realizing Hiranyagarbha. So they do talk about developing the mind to the extent that the mind can become as large as Hiranyagarbha by meditating, so it says. And Jains and Bauddhas also say that an enlightened, a wise person, a Trikala Jnani, he knows everything in all the 3 periods of time. This is that definition of enlightened person. So Tirthankara is necessarily always Trikala Jnani, and so also is Buddha. Vedanta is not possible for a human being to be like that. Because what you do with your mind, unless of course, although the Upasana section of the Vedas do talk about that. So when they talk about the Brahmaloka, it's not reaching Brahmaloka, it is become identified with Brahma or Saguna Brahma, Hiranyagarbha. So that's the kind of upasana very strong. I don't know whether that's ever possible or not, but Vedanta does not see the need of you to have to know all the 3 periods of time because it is still mithya. You still do not transcend the idea that you are a knower. Even that also has to be let go. And therefore, what is taught ultimately is, that's why it says, so mandanam adhikara siddhyartha upayogitaya. As far as these people are concerned, the purpose that the upasana serves is to prepare this person for knowledge of the Nirgunam Brahma. Savishesha upasanam uchyate shesha. So, anantaram savishesham upasam uchyate. So, having taught the Nirvishesham Brahma for Uttamadhikaris, for the other Adhikaris, Brahman which is same Brahman with attributes is now being taught. Then that Brahman can only be object of upasana and not object of the knowledge of identity. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmede Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.